Meeting's recorded, and we have audio. No echo. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is the 10th of February. This is our first annual meeting in more than a year, I think, but here we are. So we're going to do the usual annual meeting thing of going through elections. We'll have an agenda here in a minute, but let's just dive right in. So if I can figure out too many buttons and screens. So just as a reminder, I think everyone here knows mostly, but DPRG is free to attend. No memberships required, but we do help sponsor club activities through memberships, and we encourage people to join if you want to be a part of what we do. DPRG is a 501c3 educational focused kind of thing. We meet every Tuesday night online now and monthly. We'll talk later about whether it's the second Saturday or some other, but very focused on robots and the kinds of technologies and things that go into robots. And we like to share our progress and our hurdles. And we also like to just enjoy talking with each other about various technology things loosely related to robots. Okay, there's multiple screens. Okay, so for today, as the outgoing president, Carl, that's me, I will give a few words, and then we'll go through our election. We'll present the candidate slate. Unfortunately, I'm on there again as VP, but thankfully, Paul has volunteered to run for president. So we'll go through an official election. We'll have to probably call a meeting to order and such, right? And I presume you'll get the minutes, Doug. Yeah. Something like that. As secretary, then assuming that we have quorum and an election success, new president will give an address, and then we'll brainstorm through the goals for the year and have show and tell. We got a handful of robots, and that's part of what we do. So to dig in, my summary, I have 3 slides, and then I'm going to stop talking and eat pizza. So the first thing is just some random stats. We've been since COVID, we meet every Tuesday night, and it's remarkable to me that we have like 12 to 20 people every Tuesday night for 2 to 3 hours online, right? After we've spent however much time during the day, we spend that much time together online, and we come in from Dallas. Pat is in with us today from Canada. Ray is from some part of Texas nobody knows about. We get visitors from Colorado and Connecticut on a regular basis, and it's pretty cool. And we do that, I think it's been pretty much 50 times a year since COVID started. I don't think we miss more than 1 or 2 weeks a year, really. And the crazy thing is, there's more on this later, but each one of those sessions, Tuesday night sessions, we get something like 50 or 100 views for every Tuesday night session. So how's that for outreach for our charter? And then in person, since COVID, we have the twice a year competitions, Roborama Indoor. We have one coming up in May, a practice session in April, and then a competition in May. And we usually get, and then we have also outdoor Robo Columbus. Thanks to one of our members has offered a space last few years. And there we get 6 to 8 robots and 20 or so people, so it's pretty cool. YouTube, this might be awfully small for those in the room, but DPRG Clips, at DPRG Clips, YouTube, at DPRG Clips, there's 3,800 subscribers to that channel. And just in the last 28 days, YouTube counts 936 views for a total of 125 hours. 125 hours. How does that sound? And when you look at the last 2 days, our Tuesday night meeting they were the top views, 17. The plastic fusing tutorial from April of 2010 is the next high, Kalman filter. But you just look through these plastic fusing, Tuesday night meeting, Doug's training on how to assemble a robot car kit, more Tuesday night meetings, Kalman filter, David Anderson's always up there. So You can see like average times 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. So whatever it is that we do, people enjoy watching it, at least for some degree of time.
I mean, considering how niche and how technical.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was cats or something, yeah, you'd have.
Yeah, if it was cat videos, I mean, Taylor Swift, I mean, we'd be.
Hey, maybe that's it. 40 robots.
But anyhow, I thought that's pretty cool. And I think it's something, we got something here, basically, right? We got something to nurture and we enjoy it and other people do too. So with my outgoing president hat, hopefully hat on, just some thoughts. You know, it seemed like in the last few years, we've been moving gradually from these embedded based robot controllers to now we have more distributed, like robots with multiple micros talking to each other, perpetually fighting how to make them to talk to each other consistently. We all seem to like the competition and the challenge and online interaction. I mean, it's definitely taken root and we've got a lot of people interested in that. Absolutely PID loops. We had our first PID loop discussion last week in a while, but that's not going away. But neural nets seem to be taking more of our discussion time, right? And so that's pretty cool. Bottom line for me though is technical interests might be what bring us together, but somehow there's a social glue. We just enjoy hanging out, basically. And those are my thoughts, Paul. Shall we proceed? Let's get to this. So officer candidates, and Paul has graciously volunteered to run. And I'm still as VP and Doug as secretary, Steve as treasurer, John as librarian. And what should we ask? We've already called to order, right? We've called to order.
Yeah, we're called to order.
We're called to order. That's how it works here. So, well, we should ask: are there any other alternate slates or candidates? Barring none, how do we do this then? It's time to hold the election.
So yeah, if there's any members here who didn't vote proxy, if you vote for the slate, raise your hand if you haven't proxy. Did you vote proxy though? If you haven't voted proxy. Oh, you didn't vote proxy. Okay, counting that. Member 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's see, okay, so that's 6. Okay, so we have 21 out of 28
have voted.
4. Yeah.
Are you counting me?
Hey, that was very good. If we had no one show up today, if it had been a bad weather day, really bad, we had 15 people proxy or non-proxy. So anyway, so we were already at our quorum. So that's very good. That's different in the past. We had to just, there must be something magic happening. So anyway, so with that said, we've got 21 for, none against, out of 28. So you're good. It's done.
Great.
Hey. And of course, I forgot our official officer tally election guy. Thank you, Ron, for your services. Fantastic. Well, do you want me to flip the slides? Do you want to have the seat?
That'd be great if you would.
Okay, I don't mind.
I don't mind standing.
Okay.
I didn't even have to write any threatening emails. Carol, I like this.
It just happened.
I love the club. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for electing me. I hope I can live up to whatever expectations you may have. When you, if you flip, in thinking
Can the
about
elected officials come and present themselves?
elected officials,
President, vice president,
secretary, treasurer,
and librarian.
librarian.
Treasurer, librarian.
As I was kind of thinking about, what does this really mean to do DPRG prayers this time around? Because those prayers about 2010 or so. I figured DPRG is really a club in the traditional sense, like a soccer club or Rotary or any of the social clubs. And so to me, that is a group of individuals who have a common interest and want to share their interest with like-minded people. It's really different words for what Carl said, in that it involves social aspect as well as a shared technical interest. And so I think these are important points. That's the essence of a club that we should try and support. So if you move on, please.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal for the club is to recover from the COVID blues that have been afflicting us. Do you want to say something, Ron?
Oh, no, I was just,
Okay.
you were moving on the
Okay.
slides. They were advancing.
No, that's good. He's right on.
Oh,
He's
okay,
right on.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. I missed the changes. Sorry.
He's
Okay. Shut up.
my slide wrangler is so smooth. And so yeah, recover from the COVID blues. We can use some recovering. So next slide, please. So thinking about members and the role of members in the club, I think that it's not going to work if this is the Paul, Carl, Steve, and Doug and John club. It's going to take all of us, and so I'm very excited that you guys came out today on a wet, rainy day, and that we have a couple of members online. And I look around. Everyone here is a member of DPRG, and that is totally awesome. Because one of the things I think that is important about members is, or that at least is worth talking about and understanding, is what are the rights and why would anyone want to be a member? And this goes to what do we want to do for the next year. So we used to have about 40-ish paid up members. We're now at 27.
Actually, I'll correct you there. We've increased the club size by 4% in the last hour. We have 28 members. So,
excellent! Yay! Thank you, whoever.
And that's it. I'm shutting up.
It's going viral.
Moving in the right direction.
All I would say, since I've been a club member, I haven't seen 40. I would say that we have worked in the 30s. So it's not as bad as you're presenting. Probably 36 would be a high.
Okay, I won't disagree with you. I did look at those numbers when I was pres. But I think more than number. I mean, the number of paid up members is one measure, but it's not necessarily the only measure that matters. The breadth of engagement matters as well. I think, and the people who are the new members who are willing to take a role in the club and be the next generation of roboticists, of club leaders, and so I think that this question of membership is an important one, and I struggled to accept that role because I was new a year ago when Carl offered me the role, and I told him no. Carl is such a good guy that he just kept on doing the job. So I think we ought to raise it. With Carl and Doug, the two of those guys really kept the club rolling over the last year, and no one that I know of got stuck with president's duty for 4 years. I mean, it's not light duty. And so thank you, Carl and Doug. You were equally active in keeping things rolling. So I want to get more stuff going on, more energy and more engagement among the club. And so most of the rest of this is a discussion. Want to get your input, and some of you were at the RBNV last Tuesday, where we had somewhat of a half-hour discussion on that, but some were not, and are open to new ideas, regurgitated ideas. But I think, the final, no, sorry, I skipped over a point here. Who should get to make decisions about club matters? So, for example, there's a possibility that if we take up monthly or bi-monthly meetings again, we might hold them on a different day or at a different time for various reasons, to make things work better with the makerspace and so forth. So, who should make those kinds of decisions? The board? Members? I think so.
Members have to drive it, the board should accept it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just anyone with an opinion.
Right.
I think not. Yes.
49 members now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. We might break 30 before the night.
Welcome. Welcome aboard.
Welcome. So I want to drive in a direction where we have members making decisions, accepting input from all sources, non-members and members, but members making the decisions on how the club runs, because they're the ones who paid up and ought to be the ones that get to say. What else? Anyone got any thoughts on what else members should expect besides decision-making authority and whatever events the club may put on?
Pizza.
Pizza? Members only pizza?
One favorite pizza.
I guess we like pizza at our meetings. Yeah? Okay.
I like
all right.
pineapple pizza.
All right. Next slide. So really, I want us to rebuild our membership numbers, and particularly the active member numbers, and especially young folks, young men, the future generation of roboticists, and the future generation of people who are going to, keep this thing rolling for beyond the 40 years that it's been in place to date.
Thing with this, what membership effect, right? I think we're overlooking a couple of them.
Okay.
Right? The members should expect to have access to any of the other members. I think some of this is like water. We're just assuming what it is, right? They get access to any of the other members. Also, we can point out we do have a listserv, right? We do have an email list of some sort, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or it's got problems, whatever it is. We do have one, and members should expect to be able to send something out and get something back, right? Not a big ask, and because I know, in fact, Doug sent me, Doug, David sent me something that I replied to again. I'm breaking my own thought here in a minute, but there's some of that water stuff that I think should be called out that we have.
Yeah.
That people just assume it's there, and so it's more than just pizza.
I agree with that, Harold, and I've got a slide particularly on that topic. So if you
Okay,
can,
maybe I'm ahead of the game, and it's all right.
You're ahead of the game.
I will yield my time back, so to speak, whatever that
But yes,
proper thing is to say.
I do agree though, and it's sort of an overarching thing that club members should be able to interact with other club members, right? It's a problem if they can't.
I think for the most part we can. I don't know how. I don't know if
Okay.
a new person coming in here would know that they can do that and not ask a stupid question and get blasted, right? And not that I think anybody would blast anybody. I don't believe that's the case. I've been in some clubs that would blast, right? They're like, what are you doing asking me that stupid question? And being mean for no reason at all.
So I don't think that'll happen, but let's move on,
Okay,
and
I'm
we'll
sorry.
come back to that
Ron,
in a minute.
Ron, you doing something?
No, I don't want to, I can wait for the appropriate time, but I think in that vein, no.
Yeah, let's hold that discussion, because
Yeah, okay.
that's
Okay.
down the ways a little bit. I do have that, because
Okay.
I recognize the validity of what you're saying, Harold, and it's a big on my mind. Yeah, please, next. So the other thing that I think a club should deliver is value for money. And so the question is, how much value and how much money should a club deliver? So I want to say that I pushed the increase in dues that used to be $20 a year to $40 a year around the 2010, 2012 timeframe when I was president. And we did that to cover the DMS, the Dallas Makerspace contract. We would have gone bankrupt within a couple of years if we hadn't have done that. And but DMS dues have since been cut in half. So my question is, should we accordingly reduce DPRG dues?
I want to bring up a little bit because you can misinterpret otherwise. And that is the fact that then the makerspace was just forming, and we helped them build up tools, and we had access to the tools. Now, since then, eventually, and it was still that they did cut down their expense to us, is that they pulled back their whole idea of how they interact with tools and people. And so you have now a whole series of training that you have to take on their tools. And they did that partially because, well, people tend to break tools that they're not knowledgeable. So that's partially why they did it.
To that, I guess really the relevant thing is, what do we pay to be here on a monthly basis for this space, for this meeting time?
$150.
$150. Okay, well, maybe that should be factored into.
So that's
what
why
do
I
we
said
need
that that's why
membership fee for?
reducing
Hold on.
will be a guide.
It's $1,200, $100.
$100
A year.
$1,200 a year.
$1,200 a year.
It's $1,200 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that,
Well, your membership is just covering that really right now, right?
Yeah,
So
how much?
40 times 30 is 1,200.
That's exactly why
Well,
40.
they had it
That was
stored.
the idea between going from
Okay,
20
because
to 40.
wouldn't that be the thing? Is that really what we, okay, anyway.
That's the reason why, though, that, yeah, I can see reducing the fee.
Yeah, we need to bring members
Because
just
we
for-
have
So-
reduced service here.
I'll also argue that that $40 in 2010, when this was increased, what is it worth now?
Well, half, something
But
like
we wouldn't have
that.
enough then. If
No,
it's
no,
30
what I'm trying to
members.
say, that I don't think the $40 is a big obstacle
No.
to membership.
A meal out
Because
is
it's
$40
become-
now.
Yeah.
So maybe inflation has covered your concern because the money is worth half.
I wouldn't suggest raising.
My
it
question
more.
is if it's
I wouldn't raise it,
$100
but I wouldn't lower it.
by 40, then that's 30 members. So 20 wouldn't have enough money to pay their bills.
Right.
And then there's the remote people as well.
Yeah,
So-
but then another aspect of this is, the social aspect, like, of having a club where we actually get together and do things is something that remote people just can't do. In my mind, they get less value. So do we want to have a remote level of membership?
Maybe leave it as an option. You sign up, you can sign up, and if you want to pay $40, you can pay $40. So
Yeah, I don't see $40 as being an issue.
So, okay, how about, so maybe the value for money, maybe what's missing, I mean, I feel like the value hasn't been there in terms of maybe we haven't been holding monthly meetings like we used to before COVID.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of the primary, benefits is
Yeah.
physical space to go to.
Right.
Even if it's once a month now because of COVID,
So I'm not hearing a lot of support for this idea that maybe we ought to reduce membership fees.
I mean, my opinion.
Okay.
Let me put it in maybe a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, I think she's all right.
In the last year, what could a membership expect for his dues? Well, essentially, they had the weekly
Yeah.
remote Builders Night Virtual, which for a remote member is equivalent. And we have the competitions. Now, to try to address the other option, the reduced availability to our remote people, we have created the remote competition concept. And so they can compete remotely in our contest. They're put in a different prize pool, which makes sense because, anyway, but they still can compete. And they have. I mean, Pat has competed. We've had Ted come down here, actually travel down here. I even heard Pat mention that we might someday come down here. I mean, it is a possibility. So, but what I'm trying to get at is they can they're actually having a remote competition in May in Ottawa that is for our contest.
Great.
And we're going to supply their prizes. So, I mean, there is value for a remote person.
So if I could just chime in on behalf of Pat, who's added to the chat. Pat wrote that $40 to have access and help support DPRG with pizza and contest is okay with him. And he says, all hail the remote competition.
All right. Thank you for that input. Appreciate the discussion. And
It's kind of a minor thing, but I think if we're here at a meeting, I don't mind shipping in for food. I don't know if that should come out of DPRG, but that's just me.
I've got an opinion I'd love to share.
Steve.
So I also don't really think we should be cutting the dues. $40 is not a lot of money these days. I think inflation has really eaten away at the price increase that you made all those years ago. Plus, as part of the option to come here and meet, we also have a certain amount of storage that is in that contract. And so we store some of our indoor robot contest materials and tools and things here as well that we would, if we didn't have that contract, right, we'd A, be relying on members to give us hosting space, and B, we would have to lose that storage.
Regard to the storage.
So, hang on, John. The other thing is that, being $40 a month, that still gives the club some leeway to also possibly invest in other things that we haven't thought about. Maybe the members would like to upgrade some of the technology that we use, like sort of a listserv, something more modern that would attract younger users, or subscriptions to something that makes sense for the club, right? That I'm not suggesting any, but I'm just thinking that there's some ideas that we could probably come together and say, hey, this may be a good thing for the club to get a subscription for and allow our users, our members to use it. So
okay.
things like that. So I wouldn't want to reduce it and reduce our options.
One thing I do want to bring up and emphasize, Will, is you talk with the board about, at Makerspace, about their storage.
Yeah.
Is that in the contract, and are they going to keep that?
Okay, so
Because of
Would-
their footprint, they don't show.
would we like a brief detour on the contract status and that, or bring that up later?
Yeah,
Well,
let's
that's my impression.
continue with his thoughts.
Yeah. Raj?
I'm sorry, Raj.
$40 is that yearly or monthly?
Yearly.
Okay. And do we have a limit on number of members we want to attract?
No.
There are physical space limit or something that's preventing us from getting more?
To me, it's just a practical limit of, at some point, I mean, let's say dozens and dozens have come, our current way of working wouldn't fit with that, right?
Right.
But at the moment, it's not like we're having to push
That would be
the.
a bad problem.
Yeah.
So the reason why I was asking that question is the times have been changing. The robotics is picking up. There's a lot more interest in robotics, getting into robotics, and that's the jobs of the future. There's a lot of hype on AI. There's a lot of hype building up on robotics. And we have a lot of experts here, and a lot of people hungry for knowledge. So there's a lot our club can do. I don't see $40 membership being a hurdle. If it's more, I totally agree with Steve. We should, if it can be more, it should be more, and we should get more people. We have a lot more funds to attract more people to stay current with. Like, I would love to come here and maybe play around with a bunch of sensors. that I probably don't want to buy because I don't know if it's going to be fit my thing, or I don't want to have a big laboratory at my home. Maybe I just want to come here and use it. Maybe we could start working on things like that. So more money is definitely not a bad thing. And if there are people who wants to get a subsidy, they can write to the board or something and get a discount.
And one other comment is that before we had the club robot projects, like those are things that we can look at for funding to get people to come in.
I missed that point.
We had the projects where we built a robot as a club.
Yeah,
I have a series like once a month.
Yeah.
Parts of a robot or something to help us to determine what parts work, what doesn't. They could get a feel of the part that way before investing in it. So something like that would work.
Maybe be able to take home an expensive sensor, maybe, right? RTK GPS costs $600 for base station ad.
Well, so for example, I mean, I don't know how much expensive stuff there is, but there are, and maybe they're the prize box, but there's like a turtle bot or something. There's some part of the storage, the things that club stores over in a very convenient place to this location, are some things that I think, I mean, we've just loaned things out in the past, right?
Yeah.
Like the
I do like
the big
that.
banner courses for line following, and but
I do-
it's convenient at the moment. But
I do see the, okay, I do see that, you know, I wanted to ask, first question was, Rob, was how many members would we want? It would depend on how many active members we have. Otherwise, for example, if a person's just getting $40 and not being active, it's not as valuable as somebody who interacts, at least on Tuesday, or on the monthly
weekends,
meeting,
yeah.
or whatever fits their schedules. Competitions, if they only want to do competition, that's fine with me, you know, but, you know, they're doing something, you know, and that's what we really, and because really where the strength is the ability to ask a question and get answers from people. And, you know, there's interesting, people are currently in the group exploring new things that I haven't seen and explored in a while. Ross too is one of them, you know, and so there's things being done, and that's encouraging and should help to bring people in. Let me ask you this, Paul, did that activity, has it resulted in any membership gains?
you mean the Ross?
no,
Not yet?
not that I know of.
Okay.
No, I
All
don't
right.
believe so.
But like, the club robot, that's something, you know, we do want. If you really realize it, you know, if you look back, I don't know what year it was, 2012, I think.
16 or
No, there was.
before that.
There was the Tiny Wanderer.
Oh, yeah, right.
The Tiny
I remember
Wanderer, we explored building PCBs by home. Now we probably wouldn't do that. But there was also explored how to use Inkscape, or how to use some other things. All of that was explored. And then there was a project, and that was the Tiny Wanderer. And I don't know how many we made, but it was a product in Make Magazine store. And if you ever got one, it had on the microprocessor chip, which I think was Paul's design, which said influenced by DPRG.
Hey. Score.
But then, and then in 2016, we had one that was mainly to try to copy one of Dave Anderson's robots. And, you know, now we probably would need to look at one that maybe had AI capabilities.
Yeah, and you've been exploring that. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Why don't you flip forward
Just go ahead. We're getting you all.
No, I want to return to the general theme here, which is what should we be doing? And I'm looking for ideas. And but I just want to state a base assumption of what the club provides as a forum for members to share their interest. One is I think it's fair to say in-person sharing is the strongest form of social interaction. You go somewhere, meet some people, and do something. Lot stronger of a social interaction than meeting on a video conference. And that was what sort of motivated me to think, well, maybe the remote people aren't getting as much value. But apparently that feeling is limited to me, so that's fine. But it's something that remote members can't do. So yeah, we got remote sharing going on, video conferencing that's more accessible, and then we got email posts like on DPRG list, which are the weakest socially, but they provide the important communication that Harold was talking about how do we contact each other and share either information or club communications. So you can move on. So now back to ideas, because we were getting some good ideas thrown out there. The sensors, Raj suggested sensors, and I'd love just for people to chime in on any of these things. Like, should we resume in-person meetings monthly, like we're doing here, or bi-monthly? Should we alternate in-person with, monthly with virtual? Should we have some physical RBNOs? An idea came up in the last RBNV that maybe we ought to, like every other week, have a physical RBNO at one of the local maker spaces, either here or maybe the tech, what's it called?
The lab.
Yeah, the lab.ms up in Richardson.
That's off 75, right?
Oh, is that still there, 75 in the park?
When they moved down to Richardson.
Yeah, or activities, talks.
Okay, Paul, if we're starting a list, I captured two things. Rob suggested the idea of a sensor library, okay? And the other one was the idea that new members need a little more orientation than they're presently getting. We have new members who didn't know about the mailing list until they've been in there for 6 months. So the idea of a new member orientation website page, I think, might address that. So, that I can work on that. On Roger's idea, I would like to bounce on that and say, maybe what we need to do is bring physical sensors to one of the meetings and talk about it. Like a sensor tell and show. Sensor show and tell. Excuse me. That way we could have and it could be anything. It could start off with the ubiquitous HR SO4 all the way up to, OG lights and those things. So, those would be things that we could do.
Hey, just real quick, one thing, just remembering Will, who's passed away, our former oldest member. One thing he was really keen on was the fact that we have this huge vocabulary. And if you're new, you don't have the big vocabulary. Now, we all know that we can kind of pick stuff up pretty fast when we're new and interested in something. But that was always a very interesting thing. He always was thinking about if you just start talking off IMUs and encoders and all this, and if somebody doesn't have that background, they're kind of like, what? Yeah. So that's something that for new member orientation, I think, is to build up from find out where somebody's starting and
so I'm going to pick out of that a term page.
Jargon.
Glossary.
Jargon page.
And there's some remote guys too chiming in here.
Okay. I might need some help with some of this, guys.
What's the remote?
Pat said he would like to maintain the RBNV online every Tuesday night, and Ray gave a ditto to that. Pat also said, to the point of when first joining, the Saturday monthly meetings, when DPRG first attracted Pat at the start of COVID, were very interesting. He said sometimes there was a show and tell speaker.
Yeah, I think the Saturday meetings, like once a month, are
They-
the most important things. I mean, that was what just attracted me when I started.
What was it? The Saturday,
let's be able to-
the kind of canned presentations.
Right.
Seeing what's happened since then, to my perspective, is that, especially as president for 4 years, it became difficult to get new content from monthly speakers. But what I found happened was that on the Tuesday night sessions, ad hoc presentations would come up. I mean, they weren't these crazy long prepared things, but like Chris Snetter would just jump on from Connecticut and tell us about his firefighting robot, and next thing you know, it's an hour later, and he's introduced a whole bunch of topics and things to the club that were new to other members of the club. So it's to my way of thinking, the kind of Saturday big presentations have flipped to now more interactive ad hoc presentations Tuesday night, but at the expense of getting together in person, which used to be both Tuesdays and Saturdays. So then that's where, like, I kind of like the idea. There seems to be so much interest, and it's a good format people like for the Tuesday nights. I like the idea of holding that for the large number of people that like those, but then bringing back together the in-person thing, but maybe monthly.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is that there are, as I've heard before, there are some people who are easier to get together on the weeknights, but not weekends. But some people have it the other way around. So that's always
And that's why I tend to think, I would say on the monthly, and I would say monthly because you can't get around if you have it too many times a day for flexibility. Yeah. Within 3 clubs, I understand that very well. So I would say have a monthly type format. I would say have a topic, like sensors or wheels versus walking type thing. And then maybe allow, from there it could spin off to, like, on Tuesday, you have a topic that you're going to aim at.
a focus thing, a theme, but then from there have it so it can spin.
Yeah.
So Steve is.
Yeah, so to Harold's point earlier, access to members, other members in the club, I think we need to take a really hard look at how we communicate to one another. The listserv, I appreciate it, really do. I almost never use it. I read it, but I don't really participate in it because, I don't know, it just doesn't fit the way that I communicate. I would think that we would, especially if we're thinking about attracting younger crowds and, today's kids that are going to grow up to be tomorrow's roboticists, we need to have some way that we can have a dynamic way of communicating, such as, setting up some other kind of thing, like, let's say, a WhatsApp group or a Discord server or something that we have control over. I don't want to run a Discord server. I know. But there's a lot of different opportunities out there where you can have a general channel of communication, and then you can have little breakout channels of
Now,
communication.
have we tried doing a forum before? I thought we did that once and it didn't work out.
I do have a suggestion here. I'd like to make a first proposal of the meeting. Okay, I would like to propose to address how we communicate between each other in a routine way, that we form a committee, and I suggest Harold and Steve and anybody else who feels that they're knowledgeable in those types of things to review the options for us and try to find a replacement for the list server. Okay? That'd be an idea.
I would like to throw my name into
Okay,
to that.
So you 3 guys come up, and as long as it isn't a Discord. Come up with whatever you want. Rob, do you want in on that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so Rob, so there's 4 people. So this is what is the best that would possibly attract young people, and not be too hard to use because,
Or maintain.
or maintain.
Yeah.
Really not to maintain. That is something that's all, yeah, so.
Is this kind of, I'm ignorant of all this. Is this the type of thing where you kind of can have it read more or less, you start something and people can communicate? Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds very
And it's,
So Steve and Harold, you were nominated by Doug for an assignment.
I've been being voluntold for a very long time.
Is that something you guys want to participate in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then, if you want, I'll take the lead on organizing the first meeting of the 4 of us, and we'll get it together.
Paul?
I just wanted to say, maybe we wouldn't want to do our forum on like WhatsApp because then you need like a phone unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I don't have a phone.
Yeah.
So-
Right, he doesn't have a phone.
Well, make sure everybody-
And he will not until he's 13.
No, this,
I'll
no,
lose
this,
a GoPro.
yeah,
That's right, that's the only rule.
I take your point, and some of the other things that are around in this day and age, other than Discord, which which we actually do have a DPRG channel on a Discord server, and if you guys want, if you think it's worthwhile, I can post the server, post that fact
The invite.
to the list, and people can like respond, say, send me an invite, I can send an invite, and we could, those who like to play with Discord could play with that.
I would suggest that whatever we do, we try to standardize on a single thing, because sometimes, it's not, a topic will come up that I have never even thought about, and, I don't really have anything to contribute to it, but I sure do like listening about it, so whatever.
So what I heard is Doug is gonna be the newest TikTok user. That's what it is.
Okay, we'll take that off, take that away. We do have a Facebook page, and I've been making Facebook posts, but yeah, we do. If you look up Dallas Personal Robotics Group, it's,
Make contact.
in fact, yeah, you used to respond to comments on it. I went back through the history, but I'm not convinced it's engaging anybody at the moment. Everything I've posted gets about 30 views, but I'm not convinced those aren't just robots, trolling the web. I don't see anything much in the way of likes or.
Well, there's not a lot of
comments or
content
anything.
getting posted to it. It's been pretty static.
Yeah, right, right, right.
And
I think,
Periodic likes on our page, because I get those.
yeah,
I get those.
I'm
alerts,
on that list too. I can, in fact,
But they're
But
just.
there haven't been any, the last post before I started recently was in mid-2021.
Yeah, we're not real active on it. So.
yeah, I think, even if you start posting just the weekly meetings on
Yeah,
it, it would be
yeah.
helpful.
That's what I've been doing to try and generate some traffic.
Yeah,
But I think that's the issue, though, is that it's a multi-pronged thing. Part of it is content, because if there's no content, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
And the other part is the audience. And a fact of life is that some people prefer Facebook, some people prefer WhatsApp, some people prefer Discord. Some people have them all open on their device all day long, and they don't get anything else done. But
So,
Don't be looking my way.
pardon my ignorance on this. What I could see is the way I learned, I was mentored by a 14-year-old kid whose dad happened to know. He taught me machine language and how to wire apps by a microcontroller or microprocessor. Anyway, it didn't take that much time, but a little bit of mentoring got me going, and it's amazing just how little really interaction it took to get me fired up and off on the path. And then somebody told me about a thing called an assembler, okay. So at some point, I was hand assembling code. But anyway, so those little bits of things to help you get going, I think are really good. Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah. This is, I built an Apple II, actually, wire wrap. But anyway, okay, so where am I with this? What I was thinking is that with this kind of thing, would it be reasonable to think that we'd have core things like, okay, how to get started with an Arduino, although there's YouTube videos and all that. But if you knew that, let's just say Arduino, I'm just pulling that out of the air. Simple microcontroller. You learn how to blink an LED and write a few lines of code. That's sort of like, you need to know that. And then there's maybe a 5-minute video on hooking up a stepper motor or something like that to that. So you'd have, okay, you require that they have that essential, I can blink an LED, I know how to, get the Arduino environment up. Now I want to run a stepper motor. Well, anybody could make a 5-minute video showing what's involved, and then from that you'd have your sort of questions and answers or availability of the person or whoever. Right? Does that make sense? You'd have different things like sonar or video camera.
I'm going to add to that because I'll retake that a little bit, but on that line, that was why I was thinking where we could do it monthly. And if you do it right, you could incorporate that into a Facebook or whatever. The key is, though, it can be too spread out, so you need to focus, and that's where I hope for these 4 people get together and look at the different technology. I really don't know. I don't look at Facebook very much anymore. Used to I did. The other thing you all mentioned, which I know that Discord, here at the jewelry makerspace part, they had that, but they have now moved on to something better.
I guess with something like that, so my favorite would probably be to do like a 3-minute YouTube video.
So that's why
it's simple, and that can be just linked in.
And that's where the talk/connection comes into play, and that's why I said, depending on how you set this up, it could be useful, but the key is it needs to be knowledgeable, published, because, I don't know that much about Facebook anymore. That basically what I'm saying, technology will change. And we then even know we have Facebook from other people. So, that's why I said a good base website map helps.
That's an idea.
I mean, I found the website to be very, complete. I found it to have all of the information. The only reason,
Sorry, somebody wants to come in. I'll go fetch him.
The only reason that I learned about this organization for him was because we're members of here. So I just slightly obsessively checked a calendar, and then I saw this, and I was like, okay,
That's how most people find things, because as is I'm a member of 3 things. And so what happens, over on the Raspberry thing that they had over in Richardson, I found it because somebody had in a talk on here about that we were doing that.
But there are a lot. There aren't very many members that are his age, and what you're describing is a curriculum, right? It's kind of, the tutorials that get you to kind of hook in, and then maybe you become a member. But if the goal is to recruit more members, and it sounds like recruiting younger members, they're everywhere, and they're very, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for synergy with Perot or these spaces that kids spend a lot of time in, but also Dallas ISD had a STEM expo last Saturday, and there were thousands of people. Vex was doing their robotics competition.
You knew about, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because how you go about present and how it's probably a part of the pluses and minuses of our system.
So that brings up an interesting point. Maybe DPRG doesn't want to do, maybe we want to bring in younger members, but also we don't want to maybe compete with some
Right,
of these
and that's
things,
right.
around 1,000 people.
Right.
That's, I guess the good thing is, in that group of 1,000 people, there's gonna be maybe a select group that would be primed for DPRG.
Yeah.
I don't want to be elitist, but I think DPRG has, it's a potential for taking elite young people
Yeah.
who have really interested and not just there to do a day of, we're gonna do the, controller.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
going back to one
Yeah.
thing.
And then, so that's it kind of, we want to be able to, just to bring in those people, because we have a lot in this room, a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And I think if we concentrate on more just general, getting good basic stuff, some of it will follow just by the nature of things. So hence, that's why I said, if we have a monthly meeting, that helps. If we have topics that are of interest, that helps. Regard to the gain of people.
So let me address, one thing you said was, if the goal is to attract new members, I don't think we should think of that as a primary goal that we center everything around. I think the real goal is to deliver value to our members, to make it worthwhile and meaningful for our members to continue to participate in the group, in the club.
If we do that, we will be very well on the road.
And to make it useful and enjoyable for people to join. Now, with respect to school programs, the club has for a long time done outreach displays, activities at various high school oriented displays. I am understood from one of the past presidents that that's never been a source of new members. Not that it should be. It's still a good thing to do. But I think we also need to recognize that this is a club that's primarily for adults, comprised of adults of working or retired age. And the size of the school age population is so immense. And there are already groups that are set up and well set up to handle that first VEX. They're spread throughout the school system. I don't think that the DPRG or the DMS could possibly make a dent in the volume, which is not to say that young members are not welcome. They are, very much so. But just to express, I think the orientation of the club is not really for school age kids who are going through a program where they learn something and they come out and hopefully they're better prepared for life. That's not what this club is really about.
What about, has the organization connected with UT Dallas and their Launchpad space that's like maker space-ish? Okay.
I don't think so.
That might
No.
be, that might be a space.
And that's why I brought up the fact that he's right, that we really should be geared for children. The problem is for adults, there's not as many offered.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why originally the makerspace was formed.
Yeah.
This one was formed through us.
Yeah.
We actually helped encourage building this one.
Yeah.
Since then,
I
there's-
read that part of the website.
Since
Very
then,
impressive.
there's, as I said, there's one in Richardson.
Yeah,
If you look up, there's one over in Fort Worth, I forget their name, but there's several.
yeah,
But the key is people don't really realize because, unless it's word of mouth or out at an event, you don't really realize, like in the case of the Blacksmith, for example, club, they
Okay.
are going to have a activity up in Sherman with a Renaissance Festival. Because people don't really know, unless you really know what to Google, you're not going to find
right.
that thing. So that's where
yeah.
outreach
So let's-
is useful.
Let's get back on track here. You wanted to say something
Do we
here?
still have contacts like Pro Museum and like, there was the one makerspace event in Fort Worth? Like, we do these annual events all the time, where they had like the
Maker Fair in Fort Worth.
They had an adult night like once every 6 months that Robo Club went to.
There's one at the Museum of Flight. So there's a handful of
Yeah, those ones.
there's a handful of places that
I'm not sure what's been put on hold since COVID. Like, when are they going to be opening up events or You know, is there anyone tracking what events are happening?
Yeah,
So like, you know,
growth
like that one,
backup.
like that one, we have no idea
Yeah.
what Benny talked about, so who's looking into that?
Okay, so I'd like to bring it, thank you for that, and I think you're really addressing where can we find outreach venues? And that's so you mean,
I was organizing several events, I helped do several things at the Grow Museum.
Yeah.
I know I have any idea who's the contact person, see what's happening with that.
Changes.
yeah, those would be interesting things to look at. What I really wanted to try and get out of this meeting, though, was a little different, is what do we members want out of the club, both in terms of activities, in terms of in-person versus online. And I've got, there's been good discussion. I'd like to keep on with new ideas.
So are we moving to ideas for the next year yet? Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're really talking about,
All right.
we've drifted into that, and that was somewhere that I wanted to
Here's
go.
an idea that I have, that, I'm gonna throw it out and see what people think of it. I have to be quite honest, I've tried to do this before with very little success, so I've decided to cut down my scope. And the idea is, the specific idea is a snippet library. All right, and we could make this, if you wanted to do it for member value, and also to keep people from feeling like I can't contribute because I don't know. We limit it to membership access. All right, so you go to, we can do that on the website. So if you're a member, you can visit the snippet library. So in the snippet library would be portions of your personal code that you thought were useful or clever. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's go with ultrasonic sensors. Everybody's probably used one sometime in their career. And if you go on the YouTube, you can find 5,000 videos on ultrasonic sensors, and 4,000 of them will be about Arduino, and all of them will be using the basic single idea of a blocked
Execution code pattern.
code.
Yeah.
So it's otherwise it'll be pulse in, and then you sit there and wait until you get a pulse back, which if you know with the ultrasonic sensors, that's great. If the target's close, if the target's far away, your timing loop's going to go crazy.
Okay.
So
A snippet library.
non-blocking ultrasonic code for multiple
OSs.
ultrasonics.
Yep.
That was, if hopefully generic enough to at least give people an idea, would be an idea that we could, would be an example of a snippet.
Yeah.
All right, so you would put that in there, and it would go into the snippet library. But to do this, we have to have people willing to contribute. And that's why I would also like to say limit it to members. So like, let's say I submitted such a code, and Carl looks at it and says, oh shit, you screwed up here, and this is the way you should do it. Okay? In that case, he could communicate it, and I don't have to worry about my code being spread all over the web being wrong. You know what I'm saying? We learn from each other, but specifically on small snippets of code. One would be your basic odometry routines. Most of those could come from David Anderson, but there are, I'm sure you've all done it slightly different. One that I picked up from Carl was different ways to control your loop. How do you time your loop right? What's the best way to time your loop? Okay.
Well, and
Things like
there
that.
might be too, is take a look at what's available, resources and authored things now. In other words, if you do a search? Are you just wasting your time publishing this because there's some just beautiful?
Yeah, there's so much on the web. I'm like
Maybe,
really
maybe.
struggling.
Maybe the thing
With
to
that.
do is, hey, you've done a lot of sonar and you know what's going on. Maybe the thing to do is do a search and perhaps just publish some links. Hey, this is a good source.
Curated.
Hey, this is
Well,
really,
that would be a good part of the
this is
system
well
library.
done. Because think of, I mean,
Yeah,
everything I
otherwise-
do now involves searching with the, complicated
Agreed.
environments.
Ron, that's great. And
It's-
that's what I'm
I'm searching
saying.
all the
So
time.
think of it as a page or a place. I like to think of it as a whiteboard where either snippets or really good examples that you run into that gets put on together. So a person could say, well, I'm looking for this. Let's see what DPRG members have said, if there's anything there. Now, maybe it's a bad idea.
Don't we have to publish already? We have
We do have a limited number. That's another thing that I'd love to see. We do have what we call tutorials and projects.
I thought they did have a repository and stuff.
There are
Tutorials.
multiple GitHub repositories,
Yeah.
but there's also sections on the website,
Yeah.
and there's some overlap, but some difference.
Yeah, so, but the tutorials, if you have good tutorials, and I watched, who we get our views on, there was a tutorial on how to safely stop a Raspberry Pi that I talked one of our members into doing. And that one gets a lot of views. And then the one on the LM298 gets a lot of views. And those are the two newest ones. If we had 10 of those, we would have a lot more traffic. So, and I'm willing to edit somebody's presentation. If they've got something that they like, then just send me, ideally a Word file or an ODT, doesn't matter to me. And I'll look at it and try to get it on the web and put it into the tutorial list.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
So should we, I'm hearing the idea that we'd like to start meeting monthly in person again.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. What about,
No, honestly, even if it isn't a topic, I think.
what, sorry?
Even if there isn't a topic, that would be an issue.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Even if there isn't a topic for the monthly meeting, I would still think we should have a meeting.
That was one of the
Yeah.
proposals that we've talked about on the Tuesday nights, was
Yeah.
to just have a hangout session on the Saturday.
It'd be nice to have a topic, but if it's, I don't
Yeah,
want
it kind of
to.
takes the pressure off people.
Yeah,
Just to do a formal, I'm not a formal presentation.
Yeah, I don't want to
That's
cancel a meeting
tough.
just because there's no topic.
Right.
That's my concern.
Okay,
Yeah, but like,
I like
for
that.
example, I would love to have,
If we have a topic, it would help.
you have to be flexible.
Right.
I would like to have a topic.
Yeah.
But it's from a remote person. I would love Chris Netter
Yeah.
to go over how to real-time Linux.
Yeah, he's got his
He did a
arms.
really good job
well
of
around
that,
it.
but it's like, I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? So Paul's making me more ready. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what I'm saying is, I'm learning, this Prof. 2 seminar has forced me to look into
what
things I
about,
didn't want to look at. So the idea being, that would be an idea of a topic for a week, for a monthly meeting. Okay,
what was the idea for the,
Real-time Linux,
real-time Linux
voluntold
with
Chris.
Chris Netter if possible. That would be a remote presentation into our real-time meeting here.
Yeah.
So we would meet here and Chris would be talking to us.
yeah,
So, and that
I like
also, and if we get good at that, it opens us up to other presenters
Oh, yeah.
all over
Yeah.
the United States.
yeah.
Tap mine.
And even internationally, I was watching a video this morning about Lino Robot, which is a ROS2 based robot created by someone in Singapore who came up with really the parts list for a $300-ish robot capable of running ROS2 and a set of recommended sensors and curated software packages that make sure the whole thing works together. And he did a presentation to the Homebrew Robotics Club back in mid 2022, and I was like, wow, that was pretty good presentation. And then
If you can find them, I mean, that's Harold found us the link into the two guys that came up with the XMI out of the East European Space Agency. So Harold got us connected and
Gotta look around there for a little bit and see.
couple emails and they said, yeah, we'll present to you. So we have in the DPRG YouTube clips, guys out of 2 different countries. It was, I forget
where, but
France
they were
and
working together on the.
Netherlands.
One
One was in the Netherlands.
One thing I think
France.
for a presentation, I'm not a person that's good at this, but somehow our presentations need to not take an entire meeting if possible. And I know some subjects are so complicated that you need to go for 3 hours. But somehow if people come together, they want to share and tell you and ask questions and do something other than the presentation. So sometimes a presentation really might be almost better not to be here for that. I mean, be at home, watch the presentation, but come down to the meeting, some people drive an hour, half an hour, whatever. And then it's all about the topic that, wow, I know almost nothing
What
about.
I do is have 1 hour type thing and then 1 hour.
Or at least have,
I'll
allocate a section for, just general time.
yeah.
That's not.
Running robots
So sure.
and eating pizza.
So let me throw this out for an idea. What about if we had more robot run times, not necessarily in a formal contest sense, but set up a course here, and we say this month's meeting we'll just like have the course set up or courses, and you can so sort of like the practice session, except maybe do 4 of them a year instead of just like
If we're
one indoor and one outdoor.
Yeah, it's usually the one right before the competition, we meet up.
I mean, that is the convenience of having the stuff on the shelf around the corner in the same building.
Yeah.
So that we can drag down the arena and test out our new sensors.
To
Yeah,
be fair, we did that on Tuesday nights that we met here before COVID.
Exactly.
We set the courses up every Tuesday and
Oh.
you're testing
Every
Yeah.
time.
the robots
Yeah.
every Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was well used. And
Yeah.
we loved it.
so do we maybe need to reinstitute that?
Well,
I thought that was a proposal for the table,
Yeah.
but on a monthly at least.
Yeah, that'd be as a needed thing, up to when the competition start again, and the weeks before,
Certainly
we can schedule.
then, but even there's, I mean, some of the guys do work throughout the year, like working ahead. Okay, working ahead is kind of funny for this club, but yeah, some guys.
1 week, 1 month or 1 week before the competition, I have it more spread multiple times.
But then what about outdoor? Because at the moment, as I understand it, we just have 1 indoor in May and 1 outdoor in November, right? So do we want,
Sometimes we have an indoor in November too,
okay,
depending on interest.
okay. Do we want more than that? Any opinions? Or is that enough?
Two
Something simple
competitions.
to organize maybe.
Like 1 competition for each group each year is good.
Okay, you feel like that's
But I
enough?
like the idea of being able to just play
Plan. So-
periodically.
Something that's easy to set up might be something good, like if you come here, having some phones in the back parking lot or something and having an outdoor competition. That's like a fun time.
Yeah.
Come see how, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an indoor robot, but I have an outdoor one that I'd love to try out some more in a variety of different environments.
But like no major prize or anything. We can
Yeah,
have one.
yeah.
bragging
Yeah.
rights, kind of ad hoc contests.
Ray said, should we ping Seattle Robotics Society to find out what works for them? That's an input from Ray.
Like in what sense?
That was back in I think that was, Ray speak up, but I think that was back in the 4-person committee interaction styles.
Okay.
Yeah, so one idea was, I think Yeah, I think Pat suggested pinging Kareem to see what his students, what watering hole for communication that his younger students use for interacting. And then Ray has raised the same question for Seattle Robotics Club. And if you're not familiar, Seattle Robotics Club has been around a very long time, like DPRG, very similar.
In fact, I think they claim they're the oldest.
They claim, but that's bragging rights. I mean, we can.
I would say we were within a year at least.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Seattle Robotics Club uses groups.io as effectively their listserv. And because I was looking at it this morning, and that was, so anyway, that'd be something that we'll
I was
take
going
a
to say, before you will
Yeah,
look into
yeah,
both
yeah.
and the report back
them
to us.
and HBRC also has a decent interaction site. So yeah, we'll anyway, we'll take that offline.
In other words, I think that would be a good
But,
topic, just to report back to us.
Yeah,
As what type of communications are out there now.
yeah.
As another topic. So-
What about Tuesdays? Or no, let me rephrase it differently. What about in-person weekday evening get-togethers? So we got RBNV on Tuesdays. Do we want to do anything physical at maybe either of the maker spaces that we've discussed?
The key is, yeah, that should work. I mean,
So,
biggest part would be.
but what do we want to do? What do
But do
people
you-
want
do
to
you-
do?
Well,
Do you mean
I'm driving time wise, that it would need to be probably like a 6-ish time frame, the tough time on. And
Traffic wise.
right, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Cole, do you mean,
But right now, it seems like the virtual one's more for Tuesday and then physical once a month. But, is the interest there to do 2 meetings a week, one virtual, one in person?
Right, that's what I'm kind of asking.
And I don't think right now there is. That's the
Okay.
question.
we can take a quick show of hands, but
Yeah,
I'm talked
Yeah.
out.
No, I think that
So-
the person probably better to do once a month. That's why I say you could get it too much overkill due to the drive distance.
Yeah.
I
And
think
a lot of people don't
and
need that
that's
much
the reason
either.
why we have the
Yeah.
virtual.
I think you'd have to
Okay.
ask because there are different schools of thought. So in a way, that's what I mean. I like the idea that the club is here to serve the members, right? So it's
So I would say.
What do the members
at this
think?
Stage, and unfortunately
So-
with practice.
And I don't think that there's still apprehension about meeting physically. People don't want it.
No, not as much.
I know, I'm just saying, people still have that concern.
some.
so maybe what I should do is put out a poll or create an online poll that and just ask members, because I got an email list of the members that needs updating since today, and that, at least that I'll use temporarily until we figure out something.
Well, I think in a nutshell, it's the main problem with Monday through Friday is the distance drive time factor, and that's why the virtual is better Monday through Friday, and in
Okay.
persons are better on the weekend.
Okay. I'm hearing a pretty strong consensus in this group that weekends in person, weeknights virtual is the way to go. Is that fair? Okay, all right, let's call it.
Right now, I think that's about you too.
Okay, well, appreciate all you guys being here, and you all are members, so we don't have to filter out, because, as a group, we can make decisions, right?
So
And,
as for regard to, here versus the other place, a little diversion does help. Okay, so that's why I was saying that, like Richard or for that matter, other ones. I don't know how available the other ones are. That's the one thing I will put my sort of disclaimer. I suspect the Richardson one we could go to without too much work.
So
or hassle.
Brady has already spoken to that group on DPRG's behalf, and there's an interest. So I would ask if, when we send it out for polling, could we just put a couple of options out there? And maybe the options are, is it every time at DMS, or do we alternate DMS in the lab or some other place? Maybe another option is, do we stick to the noon to 4, or do we maybe try and shift it to be earlier around lunchtime and leave more of the afternoon open? Another option might be, do we stick to the second Saturday all the time? Or do we maybe shift to like the third Saturday, for example, since there are at least one conflict with other clubs?
Right. And especially now that we are just starting this up again, that's why I would say at this stage, we're not really set. Especially in my case, I would prefer a different day.
Yeah.
Or else later, it's not necessarily it has to be in the morning. I mean, afternoon late / even on a weekend works better sometimes than in the morning. I'm not a morning person, just by the nature of the thing.
I mean, 11:30 is pretty, late already. People leaving around 3 or 4 usually.
That's why I said 3 or 4. But for here at this spot, especially if you want to track the flow of their open house type thing, earlier is better.
Yeah.
Just by the nature. I mean, they have, at least right now, they have it scheduled.
Then also the North Conference Room would be available at an earlier time slot, which makes entry into this space easier.
Right.
You don't have to like escort someone back because it's outside of the
Well,
secured space.
And that's why I said that, you know, if you do it earlier in the day, you have them already giving tours. There are people in the front lobby that would point them to the right directions, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I would say that, you know, main thing is I would say like here, have it like here on the first of the month, over in Richardson, like on the third of the month type thing. If you want to do it 2 times a month, or else 1 month here, 1 month there.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Skip forward.
I totally lost track of where we.
Skip over that one.
I would say, I
it's
agree
the-
with Steve.
okay.
Sort of saying
I think we
about
passed that.
I think we've got that. Okay.
I like the idea of setting up one in Richardson and just see how it works out, and then go from there.
Start with one.
I like that. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I said it's going to be variables, but, you know, just how to know, and then we could do a power up even afterward.
And this would be a monthly,
Right.
this would be a monthly,
Right.
at the other
Cadence.
makerspace, right?
Or monthly somewhere, but would start maybe try once at the other
Right.
place, just to see how it goes.
And then we could say on a poll afterwards,
Yeah.
just say, how did it go? Do you
Yeah.
like it? Blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Right.
Go from there.
Okay. Any other things that people want to raise? I think we addressed the communication by assigning a subcommittee. We've got a subcommittee, and we are going to come forth with recommendations that will.
I would like to volunteer to go to the shelf over there sometime with somebody and pull everything off, dust it all off, and catalog it.
Yeah.
We did, what,
Don't have catalog?
or another, but I don't.
Say what?
I thought we had a catalog of all the stuff,
Well, just make sure it's all there and just.
Well,
It's been a while.
Yeah, speaking of that.
Good question.
Steve actually handed me, because he just moved, he handed me a contest score, so I have to look to see what it is, probably what I can follow.
So
Did you get that,
I have a contest course.
Mike's volunteered
The club.
to
to
contribute
inspect
with
and
the
catalog
storage
storage.
rack review and inventory?
Probably a challenge.
Yeah, not to be too grandiose, but while we're here, can we like solve world peace?
We're working on it. We're getting there.
Gotta get robots.
But we are going to address your point, Mike. After we're done here and the meeting's closed and everything, we are going to go down and take a walk.
We
and
could just walk
have
out
a
there.
look at it.
It's pretty
And
crowded,
see
but
what's there.
I've peeked up there, but I've never taken it all down and just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
been a while.
you're proposing to go beyond that and,
dust it off.
yeah. Are you a DMS member?
No,
Okay.
I want to.
Okay. So we,
Procrastinate.
okay. So need physical access. And speaking of DMS and its benefits, Carl, can you, I didn't quite understand, I got a tone from you in an email that was going around about rights to use tools, DMS tools and equipment, and how it changed in the 2016 version of the contract. Can
So,
you
Doug-
summarize?
I think Doug's closer.
Okay.
All right. When it was originally proposed, there was the ability to use certain tools, all right, like 3D printers. All right, that was $2,400 a year.
Yeah.
And we gave up that right and some other rights to get it down to the $1,200.
Yeah.
And So there's no way that DMS is gonna allow you to use Stewart, period. Reason for it is liability, all right?
Non-member use.
Yeah, plus it's non-member
You gotta
member.
be trained.
They're just not gonna let you do it.
Oh, I must have misunderstood an email that I
No.
thought I saw Carl
So
saying,
that's not,
okay,
we do
Okay.
not have any tool rights.
okay, no tool rights at all
At all.
for non-DMS
So that was-
companies.
that was taken
Okay,
out.
fair enough.
So the only thing that I think we have in this is we have storage, and we have the right to a meeting once a month,
Yep.
or weekly, I think.
It's weekly and monthly, and from speaking with one of the board members, it's very flexible on the timing.
One
And-
about the storage, because you realize that if you look out there, and I have not mowed the porch splash 3 years, like Chris, there was a person that actually, they had a committee of doing their rearrangement of things, and that person never brought up the fact about, oh, there's this
So-
storage, what we're doing with it type thing.
Is-
So that's why.
Is this the time for me to
This-
summarize?
Yeah,
Okay, so let me try and give a little summary from my point of view of the DPRG to DMS relationship. And if you don't know, they're two separate clubs. Okay, so actually DPRG was around first, and then somewhere 15, 20 years ago, some folk out of DPRG spun off and formed the Makerspace. Now the Makerspace has some 1,500 members, $800,000 a years of dues, and the DPRG is what it is, what we see here. So we're focused, and DMS is all spread around. So there is a contract. They're both 501c3 organizations, and there is a contract read into the minutes of both clubs. It's a binding agreement between both clubs. DPRG gives, and we give dues to the Dallas Makerspace, and in return, Dallas Makerspace gives us access to the rooms and 128 cubic feet of storage. Right now, that storage is beyond this wall on a high shelf behind a whole bunch of crap on the floor. It's in a no man's land, except sawdust really likes it. So there's many feet of sawdust on top of everything out there. And as I understand that they're moving the wood shop from where it is now to be basically in that area, there's going to be even more sawdust.
You probably won't let them, they probably will not let the storage be in there because of fire.
So let me continue. Somewhere around the time that COVID started, the Makerspace before that time had 17,000 square feet. And then right around that time was it 2019, 2020, another like 18 or 20,000 feet got added on. So the Makerspace now has close to 40,000 square feet. And the membership plummeted for the Makerspace over COVID, and it's still not back to the peak. But what they've been gradually doing is building out that, from my way of thinking, my perspective, they've been building out gradually the new space. If you haven't seen a tour, one of us can take you on a tour. And one problem that the Makerspace has is that the wood shop is just really popular. It's got a lot of really big tools, and they're out of space. So it seems like one of the trends is that that's going to eventually move into this other space where our storage currently happens to be. So
They have a current revised version, so if you look in the one room on the wall, you'll see their
cool.
latest version, which looks to me like they're on this year.
Yeah.
Actually implemented.
Yeah, which is good. So we can go look at that. But those things, this is a working plan. It keeps changing. So the bottom line is that when we tried to restart and schedule the rooms for this one and the Robo-Rama, we discovered as a DPRG, we discovered that DMS has some new rules. So our meeting requests were rejected because we didn't follow the new rules that DMS has. So there was some emails that amongst the club here, officers to be, and then also I met with the board member of the DMS. So the bottom line is that DPRG and DMS have a longstanding good relationship. The current board likes the relationship. They have 4 out of 5 I saw in person, and they said they are in no way, shape, or form they want to change I mean, so it's probably going to be a point at some point when we'll get to walk through the details of the contract between organizations, at least to make sure that we're on the same page for expectations, maybe to refresh them, because like if our meeting days and conventions change, right, or if expectations change. But then with regards to storage space, I heard directly in person from one board member with a few other around that our storage space is not at risk. I mean, the contract is not considered at risk. Okay, so we're in good.
Where have I seen / heard anybody?
So John,
Okay, this is kind of going off topic.
I just want to finish because I was directly from speaking with the board member. And at the start of COVID, I went and put 3 of our names and phone numbers up on the rack so that people wouldn't mess with it without contacting us first. And it's well known by the officers of the makerspace that it's there. And the board member said, well, at some point in the near future, we're going to go inspect that area. And I said, great. Is there anything we as a club should do to prepare for that? They said, no, we'll let you know. And I said, well, no, sometimes it can take us a week or 2 to get activated. He said, we'll give you plenty of notification. So the channel of communication is open, but I still think that it's a good idea for us to proactively go look at what we've got. I think there's some obvious things we can thin out, like linoleum tile line following course, unless somebody wants to placard their wall with it.
I'm sorry?
The linoleum tile line following course,
Yeah.
it's in boxes on the shelf.
Yeah, you can print a banner. if you
Okay.
want.
That's what we've done.
I think
So
this is sort of a little bit off of topic of what are the directions that we want.
Sure.
I have one small question.
One of the problems.
You said that the rules have changed for scheduling meetings. What things we have to concern? If we're going to schedule a meeting here on Tuesday night or Thursday night.
So the difference in scheduling meetings now is that with the new space added to take makerspace to 40,000 feet, they have now dedicated that lobby space to be more of a public space, and behind that more private. Okay, so within that more public space, there's when you first come in the new door, on the opposing wall, there's what's called the North Lobby Classroom. It's 650 square feet versus 830 square feet, okay, in here. But they prefer to have outside groups meet there in the North Lobby Room if at all possible, okay? But we're still able to use this if that's not available. But in every case, in the past, and I've scheduled rooms here for the last 6 years, or at least a lot of them. And in the past, it was no big deal. We just get online, and before it was Steve and his robot. We'd get online, we'd schedule the room. 2 days later, it would be approved. No question, life goes on. But now what we have to do is a little more planning ahead. If we want to have a meeting, then please allow us 2 days to go send an email to admin@dallasmakerspace.org. One of the board members or their delegates will review it, and then they'll say, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good proposal. Now you can go schedule. And then we go into the meeting tool and request the room, and it'll go through. So they've added an extra step now, but and this was my concern for this discussion with the board a week or 2 ago, was it anything that we did as a club, DPRG? Because, I mean, we don't want to wreck the relationship. And they said, absolutely not. You guys are the best outside club that we've got. The trouble was with some of these other clubs, because they would as the board members who have, like, I don't know if it's fiduciary, but it's legal responsibility for quite a big budget and floor space and people. And they would learn of a meeting for the first time when it shows up on the calendar. All of a sudden, there's 30 people running around unsupervised. Have they signed the waiver? Are they like roaming around? It caused them big problems and concerns.
Especially one group that would literally take over this whole several rooms that.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that red hole.
And they weren't respectful. So the point is that as a club, DPRG, we're in good stead. And if we continue to be good citizens, dual citizens, many of us, and we'll be just fine. That's the bottom line.
Okay, I feel like we're kind of like approaching the end of our creative juices. If anyone has any more ideas, throw them out now, or I'll end with building robots for fun and for bragging rights.
Just go around the room and each person mention a topic that they would like to see a presentation.
That's great, a great idea, yes.
Don't start here, start over there. So, David, what would you like to see a presentation?
And no pressure.
A basic course on introduction to artificial intelligence and how to integrate it into a robot.
Cool.
Can I have another one?
Ron?
Go for it.
Robot simulation in Unity. Oh, you got another? Go for it.
I'm hoping I'm getting the word right. Subsumption?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Subsumption.
architecture?
Yeah.
There you
go.
Ron?
Robot simulation using Unity. Oh, gee, maybe I could do that presentation. If I can get it right.
We've got a volunteer to give that one. Excellent.
Not anytime soon. Don't pin me down. No, that's something I'm kind of pushing for, so that'll force me to have to work on that.
Okay. Doug?
No, it's good for right now. I'll come at the end.
Eric?
Yeah, on his thing, getting the AI to do object recognition, say, okay, this is a can, this is a ball, just to be able to identify what thing you're looking at. Because one big one I had was trying to figure out the outline of an object, just using enough information to get a proper track. But being able to say, okay, this is the thing I'm looking for. It's a Coke can, it's a Pepsi can, so that kind of stuff. So we're figuring out what you're looking at to be able to track it.
So recognition and segmentation?
Well, having the AI learn what an object is based on whatever training.
Yeah, getting an AI to do it.
Yeah.
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 Carl's already got it finding beer, so I don't know.
So my other thing would be how to build build an AI. I guess it's called pipeline. How to collect data, how to model the data, and how to run TensorFlow to get the weights, and how to pick it, and how to pick which model to use. All right, so
Well, you don't know much, do you?
no. So I'm just talking about
All of
a
AI.
basic run through of how you would use AI in actuality.
Make and run a model.
'Cause I've been trying to figure out how to properly get the data to train an AI. Like they say they go on the internet and they pull a bunch of images, but what's the source? How do you figure out what type of images you want to train on? And how do you filter that out?
How do you get them labeled?
Right.
And do you do manual labeling or do you do reinforcement learning?
Yeah, because I watched the videos where they had 100,000 images. Well, how do they get those images to start with, and then what does that mean to the program?
Okay.
If you're Facebook,
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, connecting different modules together and communications. Like
communication maybe from a Raspberry to an Arduino type thing.
But for me, like on my robot I'm designing, I'm just using this USB ports to the USB port on a microcontroller, and that seems to work pretty good. And then I have some stemma connectors to the sensors, to the small sensor modules. But there's lots of other ways to do it, like a CAN. But if we had sort of a presentation of just overview of the different ways to connect stuff together. Yeah. And then if you go to a slightly separate levels, like for ROS too, like how do you connect the ROS main board to the subboards and communicate over one of these channels? And the way I'm doing it is I'm just doing plain serial interface, and there's another way to do it is micro ROS. So it's just, it could be a ball of wax in that area.
Okay. John?
I'll throw out the word pin loop, get in a robot that goes straight line, or more importantly, balancing some pin loops and how they interact to achieve that.
Steve?
If I had to pick, so along Doug's earlier idea of code snippets, I would like the talk on the little object recognition cameras like Pixies and OpenMD particularly. The useful algorithms for identifying objects other than just color blobs and, locations, but like cans or triangles, or, because we're looking for cones that are in a triangular shape. So just curious if we have good, working little code snippets and algorithms that people have developed over the years to do these contests that they could share.
Harold?
Okay, I've been sitting over here thinking, talking, listening to Ron over there, saying things and going on. So here's the title of a talk, not necessarily for me. And the title of the talk is right up what you'd see on a YouTube thing. 27 common words used in robotics and 3 you never need to use.
That sounds like fun.
I say 27, pick some numbers.
Yeah.
The idea is because you're talking around, we have all these words and names and things, and when you're in this space, it's like water, right? So I say, oh, well, I use an encoder to do this, and I'm like, okay, you used an encoder. Is that an optical encoder? Is it a Hall sensor, or is that one of those little things I twist and got a button in the middle of it? Right? It depends on the context and the thing, and I'm sure that's confusing as heck to whoever. And so I think if we get some traction where people start showing up, I think one of those sorts of things would be a really good thing to have.
Yeah.
Oh,
It also, by the way, makes good for good blog posts for SEO, search engine
Yes.
optimization.
And I was, me being my Twitch streamer and trying to figure out how to grow my Twitch stream and do all this stuff, and I know how hard it is to actually grow all this stuff to do, and how much time it takes to do. I think about it all the time and see if I can force multiply myself.
If I put that into my own words, it sounds like sort of basic robot concepts and implementation thingies that you run
I
across.
believe that's a better translation than what I had, but I was going for clickbait.
Top 10 things you need to know to be a robot guy,
And when you don't.
person,
You gotta have a don't in there.
and-
You don't have a don't in there.
and 3 to avoid like crazy.
3 to avoid, exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like 3 phrases that you need to avoid no matter what in robotics.
Yeah.
And you gotta emphasize it.
Okay, so it's your turn.
I mean, I'm all on board with the AI and implementing AI into robots. Here's an object and I want to go up to this object and grab this object or push this object around. And
Okay, thanks. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
I'm Sharon, and all of this sounds very interesting, and I will be watching that video first.
he's gonna search and find that video first.
Right.
That's actually.
What you been saying?
Oh, so we started coming to the makerspace because of this one, and he and his dad came here to build an electron microscope at first. And they met Russell Crowe, who many of you may know, who had been working on a fuser, and then Aiden wanted to become the youngest fusioneer, and so he's been here. He was here every weekend before his 11th birthday for months. And he's still working on that, but that was the genesis of this project that we're starting, a space called Launchpad Incubator in Dallas. Because DMS is not super like kid focused, and because bright kids don't really have a way to find their tribe, that, you know, to find our people where, you know, they're able to have a quick conversation, and I don't understand any of the things that any of these kids will be doing. But we envision it opening this summer. We're looking for space between 2,500 and 5,000 square feet in the design district / Oak Cliff, to make it accessible for you know, the talent that exists in every zip code, even if it's not really tapped into. And we are actively seeking mentors, people who would be wanting to work with the brightest kids in the DFW area who want to nerd out on whatever the thing is. So we're gonna have like a robotics section, you have to help me remember what these things are. 3D printing,
Woodworking,
laser cutting, CNC, that kind of stuff. So we've got some initial funding, which is great. So that's not,
It's like a mini maker space for smart kids.
yes. Like,
Interesting.
like if you are into any of the Mark Rober, it's like if Makerspace met Crunch Labs. And
Cool.
yeah, so if you or anyone you know might be interested in mentoring kids, one of their projects we anticipate will be designing and building a go-kart. Another was something about some rocket shoot down or something.
a rocket, we were thinking of making like a self-guiding plane. So yes, these are the things.
Interesting ideas.
That's the idea. So we found out about this group, and what I would really love is to have a sense of the experience and the knowledge in this room, like in this group. This seems like an amazing like brain trust of Dallas, especially in this space. And so that would be really helpful. Like, that's the only thing where when I was going through literally reading every single thing on your website, the thing that I didn't see was like profiles of what you guys have done in your actual lives, you know, like, or in these lives, in the robotics lives. So that's.
You'd be welcome to dial into an RBNV on a Tuesday night, because we get.
We will be there.
An even larger and, dare I say it, maybe smarter at times group.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think that is going to be really valuable. The fact that that's online is a really big draw.
And it's somewhere where you can ask questions,
Yeah.
and people are real receptive.
Stump the club. It's a fun time.
Okay, let's finish this round with Brady.
Is there a way we can track you? Do you have a website?
Yeah, so if you go to launchpadincubator.org, we've got a lot of stuff up. We're hoping to do a hard launch to recruit mentors on Pi Day, because we think
Absolutely.
our people will be celebrating Pi Day.
Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
It's a Raspberry Pi?
Yes, so it's launchpadincubator.org.
Okay, over the last several years, mainly at Dallas Makerspace, but I've done around 100 classes, mainly on microcontrollers. And then it's always been with breadboards, which is always kind of a mess. And then I discovered you can make your own boards like this, 5 for $3.50, including shipping from China. So I set up a class on doing that. I run a few of them. And part of that is you can actually do like 40 boards like these for like same price on that. So if anybody's interested,
I would be interested in that. So, Brady, I'm gonna stick you to it. You're gonna be a presentator, you're gonna present an hour or whatever on how to go from probably just how to finish up on your PCB layout. I think it's for.
Start with a schematic and then do a layout. and
Well, how we do
route
it, we take the schematic, we do the layout on that. Actually, I have several exercises, so you do a little bit, and I pull in the exercise. Then you go to the board, you lay out the board, you route it either manually or auto route, and then you cut the board that could be.
And what I'm saying is, if you would maybe make a presentation to this group and just to highlight the points, you know what I mean? Not a course, just the points, you know, to get us, how do you get your Gerber file, you know? How you get the order, all of that. And if you want to go into what software you use. Okay.
So maybe this is something that we, the meeting content organizer for the monthly meeting can work with you, because you've got stuff already canned and ready to go, I believe.
Yeah.
So
How long would that, did you say I would take an hour?
I made that up.
An hour to 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
Well, but again, maybe you should maybe you could do two different sessions, because again, I do say don't take the entire meeting on what the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
Because not only maybe a fourth of the people want to build circuit boards.
And-
So, out of this group, most people, especially that they're giving them away for $5.
Let me ask people a broader question, sort of springboarding off of Brady's suggestion that he could put together. How do you build a PCB that you can get built for $5 for 40 in an hour or two? And ask about, so there's two different styles of doing things. One is the presentation, okay, you do this and this, and here's some pictures of the tool that we use at the various stages. There's another style of teaching, which is a workshop style that I'm actually currently leading for Ross 2, that is let me hold your hand, and oh, you ran into an unexpected error. Let's work through this and find out what. So two questions. What do people want, and what are you offering, maybe?
Mine is centered around a 17-minute video on YouTube. It's not the greatest in the world, but it covers all of the main topics. I encourage people to watch that ahead of time. I go through and I cover it, and then I have my examples. So if you want to jump in, if you get behind, you want to jump in halfway, you can do that. And in an hour 15, I could cover it real well.
That's brilliant, though. Give people a chance to preview a nice presentation for 20 minutes before they walk in.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really great.
Yeah. Thoughts on the workshop format, and maybe Doug, since you've been doing that, you might have some thoughts to share on
The workshop.
the workshop.
It is useful and it works. And it puts a little pressure. You know, you often try to say, oh, I'd like to know about that, but you never really get enough stuff to actually do it. But the workshop, since you've got assignments and you're trying to get to the next level, to the next workshop, you know, it puts pressure on you to keep up and move along. So I like the workshop method, but I don't know how many people could put in as much effort, Paul, as you're putting in on that workshop.
Yeah.
That workshop is like, I mean, for me, it's easier to teach a class where I have a presentation, put it up there. You know, I might have people working on it in the room, but it's not quite a workshop. I don't know, it's more of a training class. So I think what Brady's got would be a walkthrough. So it's sort of like the walkthrough, there's a training class, and then there's a workshop. And the workshop is the most intensive on the leader. Okay? You know, it's the absolutely.
So hands-on, and I'll help you if you get stuck.
Well, we do, the workshop people invent new ways to do that. You go and it's like, you do some work.
I wonder if they're complementary. I wonder if the two modes are complementary, where a presentation format followed by a workshop.
Yeah, I can agree with you, Paul, that an ideal is have an overview and then a workshop to power up type thing. If you need to have a power up.
Okay, interesting discussion.
Can we catch up with some virtual people?
Yes.
Okay, so we're a little behind here. First of all, it's a little question. Can you repeat, please, the URL for the?
www.launchpadincubator.org. O-R-G.
Okay, so I think Raj, you asked, it's launchpadincubator.org. www.launchpadincubator, one word, .org. Okay, that was one question. Then we have a couple points from Pat in terms of topics, and I have one too, but in terms of topics, Pat would like to hear about SLAM, not including ROS or ROS 2. So SLAM without ROS or ROS 2. And Pat also suggested another indoor competition, maybe August or February, maybe the sample retrieval competition that Doug started to outline a couple years ago and we never got around to. And it sounds like that would go together well with the multiple person interest in object identification.
Yeah, it seemed to be a big interest, classification of things.
So it sounds like if Pat's not really onto something, that if we just threw a stake in the ground for August sample retrieval, there'd probably be some people that try and do it.
Would that be an outdoor contest?
I think indoor. Indoor.
Yeah, so let me give you
Air conditioning. Or we go to Canada, I don't know which.
There's 5 extremely different objects. One's a block, one is a Smurf doll, one's a can. Okay, well, first let's see if the closing bag is
Okay, thank you.
And so what you're
I have some towels in my car. Would that be the best thing to do?
There's some in the makerspace.
You got some in the makerspace stuff. It looks like you got about 2 cups of water.
So don't worry about it.
Paper towel, roll of paper towels.
The object is, you take your robot.
Sorry, guys, we're having for those online, we're having a emergency
Water moment.
mop up the spilt water break at the moment. Go on, Doug.
Yeah, so your robot's in a home base. 5 objects are in the room. Okay, they're all uniquely shaped. So, they should be like, one's a can, one's a block, one's a Smurf doll, one's a baseball or softball, I can't remember, and some other object. And you got to find them and bring them back to home. Okay? So it was designed to be, so initially, since the first time we run it, people are not going to be as skilled, so they would probably just be where you could see them in the room. But as people got more skilled, then the objects would be made harder to get. For example, they might not be in view from home. You know what I mean? They might be inside.
Oh, so there are no walls on this course.
Yeah,
It's an
right,
open, it's an open area.
Yeah, well, at first, you might make it real easy.
Okay.
But as people got skilled, then it would become smarter.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that was the intent of the contest. It's an AI contest, basically.
Oh, really?
So, you got a question?
Yes.
An idea that maybe making it more difficult might be like you gotta have one Pepsi can and one Sprite can, so then you have to add color
Well,
recognition.
Thanks, Brad.
That has actually been, that's the idea of poison objects. So otherwise, even in 6 cans, we've thought of that, where you have 6 cans.
Is someone
you have to
getting
retrieve,
excited to
but
mop
what
the
if
water?
one of
Yeah,
them was
Yeah, they ran out.
poison object, and that if you retrieved it, you lose your point.
9.
Yeah.
So there's that is, we
I
probably
think
would
we're
not start off with that.
ready to move
That's a
on
good idea.
to the next
But
item, which is
it's hard enough,
show and
it's
tell.
hard enough to
Cool.
just find 5 objects.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
once
I think we're
once
caught
you
up
can
with
do
the
that,
online
do it
people.
reliably,
Oh, great.
then
Thank
can
you.
Make it harder.
Thank you for keeping me
Yeah.
on track
Hey,
here.
no worries, likewise.
That's what they were talking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Carl,
I
Can you
think,
hear me?
Yes, so Ray, what you got?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw it or not, but or if you covered it while I've stepped out momentarily. I think Seattle Robotics Society may be kind of facing the same things that we're facing. You know, they're a group of older men that are interested in robotics and, you know, perpetuating their club. And I wonder if we should just get a hold of, you know, talk with them and see what things that they've tried that have worked. And, you know, as far as
Engagement, outreach, recruitment,
yes, yeah,
tools, communication tools and platforms.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
thanks, Ray.
Yep. We didn't talk about it, but it's added to the list for sure.
Okay.
Sorry about the background noise. There was we got a little bit of San Diego going on over there with the inches of water.
Oh,
And what you're hearing now is a bucket.
maybe the first time that room's been mopped in a while.
In quite a while, since the floor was put down, it could be.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a secret plan to add traction to the floor.
There you go. There you go.
Where's the robot? Thanks, John.
We've got John Bot mopping the floor mopping the floor right now. So I'm sorry, but launch
Launchpad.
is it?
Should I type it
Is, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it HTTP or PS?
HTTP. It's.
It's a Google site? I don't know.
No, it's. Well, I mean, but it's not on the site.
Yeah.
And what are your names again?
Sharon and Jordan.
Sharon and
Nice
Nathan. Nice to meet you.
to meet you too. We will be there on.
Thank you. Oh, put this in the chat.
Okay, fabulous.
I just had a little extra.
Nicely done.
I just saw that and I said, you know.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're
Thanks for coming.
taking a forced break here as we gather our senses about things. Okay, so here's a working link, Raj, for launchpadincubator.org. And Paul, Pat is just on a roll today. He's got another contest idea.
I think,
Yeah.
I think that was in response to the floor.
It is. Pat suggests amphibious robot contest. Drive robot through DMS puddles.
I'll tell you what, there were some deep puddles out in the parking lot
Today,
today.
yes.
It was like
Not snow melt.
deeper than my shoes. Okay, I think we've reached the end of the formal part of the agenda, and it's time for robot show and tell. And
Yeah. My computer is confused. Right.
and
Not the
I see
operator.
David's got a show and tell. What do you got there, David?
Well, it's, this is my outdoor robot. And it's just a beginning piece of work. And, so right now I just
We
control.
can all get up and gather around it, right?
Yeah. And I kind of want to take a stepwise approach. So it is not remotely operated, it is remotely operated right now. It's remote control. So I'm going to platform and so forth before I continue down this trail.
That's about as far.
The,
Yeah, right there. Okay, good.
I found this design online, and the one issue I'm having is the motor controllers.
Thank you.
The motor controllers, if you're going forward, to go in reverse, you have to bring it to neutral, pause, flip it forward, and then hit reverse. Apparently, there's some, I think it's boats or something like that, that they prefer that sort of operation.
The RC based kind of controllers. for
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ESC.
that, Roll and stop and then go the other way.
Yeah.
That's how they're built. It's a safety concern, so you aren't grinding your gears. Going from forward, backwards.
Wow. So that's in the control, built into the controller?
In the controller, in the ECS. A
Oh,
lot of the remote control cars, if you're using an ECS where you're just driven off the servo.
Yeah.
A lot of them will force you to stop first and then you can go backwards.
Yeah, so you're
That's
sort of
where you are.
stuck unless
So
you
so what you're looking for is,
perform otherwise.
if you're gonna use a brush motor ESC,
Mhm.
you need one that is called forward and reverse. Most rock crawlers, rock crawler ECSs will do that for you.
Okay, so I bought this. I haven't opened it because I was gonna ask y'all if this would be the type to use.
I'd have to look them up, but I would, Hobby Wing is a good brand.
I believe I have that exact model
Yeah,
on
but-
duct tape and baling wire.
You have to be careful. Some of them can be programmed. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't know, and if they're programmed or there's a switch, there'll be one that's called forward, brake, reverse, and then there'll be forward, reverse. The easier one for you on your robot is forward, reverse.
Yes, and that's,
Okay.
that's.
So you have to see if that setting, and like, I think, who was it, Mike brought up, was it that if you have to use the forward brake reverse, you have to go to neutral before you can switch to the other direction. Oh, I don't know.
no.
Harold, okay, it's
Yeah.
Harold, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, Harold. So, you just have to look it up.
Okay.
But you can buy these for sure that have a switch on them that can go from forward brake reverse to forward reverse. And that's the one we want to get.
Okay.
Is this one like
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hobby Wing's not a bad company. I looked at some of their parts.
Calculation, this one's rated a little bit lower than this one.
If you're using these motors,
Yep.
these motors probably, I would not, 12 volt 200, I would say that this one's probably max current of no more than an amp and a half. This sucker here is probably 80 amps. Yeah, 80 continuous amps with 400, but this is, I actually am using a really small module that I got on AliExpress for $1. I got 2 of them and they're running motors like this. So so your question here, now the question with this is if you've got 4 motors,
4, yeah.
you might end up having to have 4 of these. Or 2 of them, well, no, 4 of them. Well, you should probably hang 2 motors.
Each one controls 2 motors.
Right,
So,
two,
yeah, I've got
so
2.
two, you gotta have 2 of them. So you can do a lot cheaper than this, and, but this is a good part, and has a future for you. Like I say, I don't know if this one has both features.
Is there any difficulty if you had one of these controllers? Well, I guess if you're synthesizing the RC pulse, you don't have so much of an issue as far as hitting the null point. If it's a forward reverse controller, is there any problem with like having a dead zone where you know, okay, if I'm
Something doesn't like it, let me believe it. I mean, if you like slam it from forward to reverse, full reverse, it's not necessary. There's a point where you can, you can.
But no, the big thing I was talking about is there's no difficulty in getting the controller to generate 0 current to the motor. In other words, is there enough dead zone?
I want to say
Whatever it is, 1
well, these
millisecond,
things,
is that
I would
what
not
it's
be surprised if,
1.5 milliseconds.
it depends on your PWM frequency.
Right.
So, I mean, this might have could be 10 or 15% dead zone on each side, which is probably not what you'd like. You'd probably like more like
But you
2
could
to
compensate for that,
5%.
sure.
So, but you
That's
see
a
what
good topic for somebody on your snippets, is how to compensate for
Yeah.
that.
So, anyway, that's some thoughts.
I do have another question for you, Doug.
Another thing, you could put 2 motors on one side.
Oops.
So you could probably get away with one of these.
Yeah, people are throwing up back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just use
If you-
one, because I've got
Yeah,
4
yes,
motors.
Right.
Just have one channel over here.
One for 2 and one, the other channel for the other 2. Now, if your motors are really strangely weird, like one of them runs at half speed of the other ones, that would be a problem. But if they're, reasonably close, they'll kind of synchronize.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that at one time you used Ardupilot.
Pilot.
Yeah.
Pilot, yeah.
How did that work? Is that,
I was able, okay, when I was shocked that back in the old days when I was smart, I was able to make it drive to 3 locations in the outside of the makerspace here out of the parking lot.
okay.
I also was able to drive all 3 cones that are Columbus out on a park we landed in Louisville.
And that was probably before RTK.
No, it doesn't. You gotta be careful when we talk about autopilot. Autopilot is sort of the Guido version, which stops at 2.56. And then there's the pick-up version that went for a certain amount after that. And then there's the post-pick-up version that even went out after that. Our Guido one, because of limitations on the size of the processor, we're only able to use what they call, they didn't use a Calvin filter, they used.
Guys, can I make a suggestion here? You're deep diving and we've got a group that's interested in doing a show and tell. So maybe you could deep dive afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
And
I don't know which one.
Good moderation skills.
Go,
there.
top guys.
Stepping right in.
I'm seeing a robot here.
Oh, well, this is a robot arm, and it's a commercial product. Oh, but a brief public service announcement here. Okay, this is a smoke alarm. I don't know how close you can see. I'll read for the people. I don't know. Oh, it focuses pretty well. Let's see.
It's really became.
Can you read that? Oh, I'll read it to you anyway, for everybody here. This is a smoke alarm by Kid. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Okay. In small print, I almost missed this. There was a fire across the street, and this was left out front. Discharging is permanent and necessary to avoid lithium battery fire. This is a smoke alarm, folks. And make sure you read your instructions to avoid a fire.
No! Give me a look at that.
No, I'm not kidding you. Anyway, I just about missed it, but there was a fire across the street. They set this thing out on the porch like a day after the fire, and it's going off. My wife's saying, "What is this?" Anyway, so I finally tracked down. They left it outside. And then when I disabled it, I read that I needed to do a particular thing to not have it catch on fire. Welcome to the modern world.
This is when you finished with it, you should discharge the battery thing.
So if you forget
Interesting.
and you crunch it, you could have a fire.
Interesting.
It's kind of like that
Anyway.
preparation H thing, do not take orally kind of thing.
But I mean, a smoke detector causing a fire. Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
That's ironic.
21st century. Anyway, and it's also, you can't replace the battery anymore because you probably die trying. But anyway, so this is the modern age. We throw all this stuff away. But I guess it makes sense too, because how long is a century for?
Yeah.
So yeah, show and tell. I should probably do this. I'm just learning how to use this arm. Looks kind of cute. It's about $1,000 arm called Rotrix, I think is the company. And I was amazed at the resolution. At first, I wrote it off as, it's stepper driven, and it's nothing fancy of an arm. And it's interesting. It uses a 4-bar linkage, and all the motors are enclosed in the base. So up here, you only have, in fact, I'll get it to run. But I did laser cut, let's see, the way you attach. It's got different attachments.
Right.
You can buy just the raw arm. But anyway, here's like, for example, the 2.5 watt laser, and you just snap in the attachments. And right now I have a little suction cup. And I'll see during our meeting, I was kind of hacking a pick and place thing. I'll see if I can get it to actually move.
Of course you
They're
was.
sitting there laser cutting them while we were.
No,
Excellent.
I'll see if this will operate. We'll be lucky. I didn't want to run the suction because it would make noise. Let's see if it.
You didn't want to start the thermonuclear reactor until you checked it.
Let's see, what's it doing? Oh, it's beyond limits. Oh.
It sounds good.
Well, it sounds good. It's going up and down. Wait a minute. Oh, keep pressing. Okay, space bar.
Okay.
It hates you.
It hates me. You know what? I think we're gonna save this. But I'll have a good demo maybe on a Tuesday night. Let's see if I can do a little more. What they do is they have you have different options. You can cut patterns and all that. You can have you can import SVG or type some text in or whatever. But then they have this little visual language, which looks cute. It's like little modular puzzle piece, and I'll demo that from home on Tuesday. But anyway, the only thing is I can think of this looks neat, but after about 5 minutes of playing with it, I'm thinking, gee, what I would like to do is just write a quick little Java library and then have all the things I'm used to, subroutines and things. Because in order to do, it took me about 10 steps to move over with some Z height and then drop down, which is not doing it. Something screwed up here. Drop down and then engage the suction, go back up, and all that.
What
So-
kind of tools can you add to this?
well,
Just suction?
So
or is
yeah,
there
they've got little grabbers,
lasers?
laser, 2.5 watt laser. So that's what they do section. And then there's a pen holder. So I think the basic arm is about $600. So what I'll do is I'll power it down so I can pose it. And I think part of it is I believe you can pose it to train it. And that makes it easy to locate positions. So it has encoders. And again, you can see from this small type, it looks like it's capable of generating some fairly small precision. I think it's 0.02 millimeters maybe, but the thing is, I don't know, there's repeatability that they quote, but they don't quote absolute precision. And I think because of the structure of the arm, it's kind of got, it'll probably have, at the far extent, there'll probably be less resolution than closer in, that sort of thing. But at least you can get a feel for a very clever design. And again, getting the mass out of the arm really makes, it's just brilliant to keep, because I remember Will was always big about anytime you had a joint or whatever, you try to pull the motors away back toward the shoulder if you could. So in this case, they've got both axes back at the shoulder of the robot. So it's a neat design, and it's Rotrix, ROTRICS. And I'll show it on a Tuesday. I just quickly was trying to hack together something, and obviously I didn't quite get it working. But it's a neat little arm, or at least interesting concept.
You got that, that's an air actuated gripper thing. So
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Yeah, so anyway, but there it is.
Wiggle of it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, you can feel the step up.
Yeah, but you know what's amazing though? Okay, it feels kind of coarse, but it must be. I'm
Yeah.
guessing a micro step because it's dead quiet as opposed to. Oh gosh, I've got a MakerBot that's Method X, whatever. That must be full stepping. That thing's. I mean, it makes just incredible amounts of noise.
Yeah.
But here they're, I'm sure, using encoder feedback and then micro stepping. So it's really a slick little device. I think the base price without the attachments is somewhere around $600 or $700, and then they get so much for the extra attachments. So anyway, but a friend of Will's was going to use it in their limited production for doing a little pick and place, and they opted not to. But I'm kind of getting interested now in the capabilities of this. I have some applications that would utilize something like this, and it's nice not to pay 15 or 20,000 like you would for a nice universal robotics, arm or whatever. This is something certainly in a foul range. So anyway, that's my thing, but I'll do a follow-up with actual real demonstration here in a coming Tuesday or something like that.
Cool.
Thank you.
So that's it.
Mike, I've seen this on Tuesday nights on video.
Yeah, so this looks pretty complete.
where I'm looking at.
So this is the robot I've been working on. And mechanically, it's pretty complete, but I've made some mistakes in the design. But right here's the power supply board over here. And so I have the power supply board here. And and this is the controller for the wheels and the encoders. It's a Pi Pico right here. And this is the Raspberry Pi.
So you're using DC motors with encoders, is that what they are?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
So the bottom side, or actually the bottom side.
Okay.
So this is the DC motors. These are good enough for what I'm trying to do.
That's okay.
And I got just the tracking wheels that's not powered to try to get more precision. I haven't activated those. I'm getting really good precision out of these, but they could slip. So
Okay.
So at some point I'm going to switch the encoders from here over to here, or maybe fuse the two together, but probably just switch.
So you're saying that these are followers, sort of, that they're not going to slip like these could, and so
And they're not powered.
driven wheels. They're not powered. Okay.
Right. And then this is my battery pack here. And it comes off, and I can charge it up.
Is this the same concept that Iron Rain
Oh, yeah,
presented?
it's the same
using
wheels.
this?
Yeah, but I'm only using two because that's enough for how this robot can. Different robot.
Yeah.
They have a robot that can slide backwards and
Yeah.
So they need more.
I think they were using those wheels as, like, they're free, but they were getting encoder
Yes.
or
Yes.
some sort of movement.
Okay, yeah, these have encoders.
Yeah.
And
That's what I said.
and actually, the encoder on this wheel per meter or per millimeter has about the same precision as this, and it's like a fraction of a millimeter for every step.
And what's your, just roughly your gear reduction on your?
30.
30 to 1, okay.
So it's enough to get me at least a meter per second
Okay.
of good speed, which is enough for me, yeah. And then what I've been working on a lot is the sensors here. And so this is the camera, the OpenMV camera. And this is the, I got 3 time of flight. Each of them have 8x8.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
And I spaced them so it gives me 180 degrees.
Cool. What kind of resolution do you get on those sensors?
Oh, they're pretty precise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, not. I
But
mean,
they're big squares.
But cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then on the,
and can I ask just the OpenMV camera, just my ignorance? So does it have onboard intelligence for doing recognition or
Oh,
using
yeah.
a Pi?
oh yeah, it does.
Okay,
It does everything
on
with
board.
that.
Okay.
And I have a mount here for the LiDAR.
Okay.
And once I figured out what position I want, I'll cut the rod and put the LiDAR on it.
Okay. And is this like a rotating, like vacuum cleaner LiDAR kind of effect, or what?
It's a LiDAR that spins around
Yeah, spins,
10,
yeah,
20
okay.
times a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the nice laser LiDAR. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And so that's my robot per se. And then I have my workstation here. I'm doing it all in ROS, and so I can use open visual code.
Yeah. Okay.
And make the programs and
Edit it on the Pi.
and edit it on the Pi,
Okay.
and then SSH in and tell Ross what to do with the new code, like rebuild it, relaunch it, and then when it's running, like over here, you're not gonna be able to see it very easy on the screen on the camera, but I have my sensors right here showing up in real time.
These are the IR sensors or the odometry above all of it.
This is just the sensors. I didn't put my odometry. I mean, I could open up I could say, give me the odometry data.
It'd be cool to see a graphical representation of your time of flight sensors. You said each one's 8x8, so you
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I have it sort of graphically right here.
Oh, okay. Oh, but it needs to be like Yes, okay, but these are what are numbers? They're numbers. Oh, what's a number?
I love
And this is like,
taking the Ross topic and spewing it out.
And both of these devices are on the DMS Wi-Fi?
No, it's.
Got your own router.
Oh,
Look at
you got
this.
your own router.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I put it over here.
Oh, he's gonna run it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love seeing robots move.
And it's tuned to see the can.
Ooh.
Right. But it does not run autonomously yet. But the big thing is way over here, you can see that it sees the can,
Oh, yeah.
and it says it's a half a meter away, 566 millimeters. And you can see it here on the time of flight sensors as well as this is just processing the camera, the blob data. And I found and there's a way to take the blob data and find the distance from it. And I can talk about that later.
I've done a lot of this stuff, but to tell you the truth, I can't remember how to turn my robot on. I can bring you a robot that'll do this, but how to upload code.
So I'll be over here and I'll drive it to the can. And first thing I gotta do is I gotta zero out this direction here. There it is. And then I'll drive it to the can. Until it,
You're about a foot away, or
yeah,
further than
it wasn't. There it is. I'm just aiming at it again.
So you're looking for these numbers up the center?
Yeah, I'm looking at 0 here, which is the.
No, it's
Just
funny.
the extra
Oh, I
action.
see.
I got only 8x8 at the house.
I see, I
I
see.
found it last night. I put
And
the
then-
can dead
So that's
center
about as
in front
close
of
as I
it,
can get with those.
and it'll get
but I can go a little
zeros
closer with these things.
on a couple of them. And when I measure the distance, it's supposed to be 2 centimeters for 400, and it is
Yeah,
right at
so-
2 centimeters, man,
Oh,
like
yeah, so
0.
cool. So I'm able to.
But I found that if I move
You're
the
well
can,
suited.
and
And then
then
with
the
the,
things on
And
it,
then, of course, it's
these
just a
numbers will
joystick.
shift a little bit
Over here, so.
because either they were
Drive it
reflection
around.
off lateral.
And that should be able to have enough information to navigate to.
Plus the keys kind of round, right? So
And the games are, so as it went
Yeah.
out, because I got 0 dead on in the center of my grid.
And you brought your robot dog.
No, that's mine.
Oh, that's someone else's dog.
Oh,
Duck's dog?
Dog, because that big curious. So,
So that's my show and tell.
That's your dog?
Thank you.
Nice.
Good.
Thanks for bringing that, Mike.
Yeah.
I've been seeing this thing
Doug's got
on
one.
the video.
We're gonna go,
Can't
Doug.
really just make it out
All
clear.
organized. Look at this.
Demo table, pick a demo.
Yeah, so these are the random.
All right, I'm not gonna run him here because,
Cool.
Still
So it
hunting
looks like
down
a lot of
few-
stuff,
few
USB-C
areas.
or whatever is
But,
powering and all that.
this is
Over
a
USB.
Sunfounder,
Power.
Pi dog.
Oh, I see.
And I got a chance to, evaluate it.
Okay,
So I grabbed it. This is my first time into well, I shouldn't say it's my first time. It's my second time into a legged robot. But this one, it's a $180 kit. And it's really well built, very surprising. It runs on a Raspberry Pi. It can go anywhere from a Raspberry Pi 0 up to a Raspberry Pi 4. It uses the Bulldog Legacy 32-bit OS. Now it's got, I think 11 or 12, no, 12. It's got 12 servos in it. And it's capable of doing face detection and, face detection. It can move forward, it can turn. It's got a lot.
And you're missing one point. He's missed one point. It has
so tail.
a dedicated tail servo, so you can read the dog.
This dog,
That's awesome.
they have some example codes. And what the example codes really do is show you their movement API, basically. So, like stand up, sit down with your hands out in front of you, scratch, give me your paw, wag your tail, move forward. There's a whole bunch of, it has 3 possible interfaces, if you just want to use it. One is you run it from your, SSH or through, VNC. Or they have an application for both iPhone and for Android where you can run like a GUI on it, so you can initiate initial movement. And then they have one where you can use a keyboard to do the same sort of stuff. But the way they have the software segmented, you can do these movements in any combination you want. So it's possible you might potentially compete in something like Foursquare or something. The big problem with it is he really doesn't really have any way to tell how far. Okay, so that would be one of these kind of like open loop or something.
Need John Swindle and my audio localizer.
This actually has an audio localizer in it.
I was joking.
But they're using it so that like when you make a noise, the dog looks at you.
Oh,
so sensor-wise, it's got a dual touch sensor. Got this guy up here, which I've seen every part of this robot work, but not all at once. And so I can't figure out exactly, where the problem is right now. So my next step is just to see if I've had this module go bad, because things the last time I ran it that didn't work were the ultrasonic sensor, which is the simplest thing on this thing, except for the tail servo. And I also had found that it came with a bad camera unit. So I had to, but I had camera units at home, so I just put it in there. Design, it's surprisingly, if you wanted to see how, if you really wanted to see how to do documentation on installation or mechanical assembly, these guys really nailed it.
So, is there a separate controller like ESP32 or anything? Their camera is routed back to the.
Well, hold on.
The camera might have.
This is a let's see, what do they call them? I think they call them a hat.
Right.
Yeah, and on this one it has a hat, and the hat has this. It does have a processor on it. I don't know what it is, but it supplies four ADCs, 4 digital GPIOs, and it has 12 servo channels, and so and it has 2 motor drivers.
So the
base
base,
not being used on this one.
so the base kit includes what?
The whole thing, everything you see there.
Including the Raspberry?
No, no Raspberry.
So your Raspberry and the Raspberry hat,
Yeah.
you have to buy separate, but everything else.
No, the hat came with it. The hat came with it. So this is using a Pi 3.
Okay.
So.
And how much was it you said?
280, you said?
Huh?
280?
No, 180.
180.
That's why under 200, that's why I was thinking under $200. So
Believe
like,
me, I would not, because of where I am in my life, would not have spent $180 on this guy. But since I'm evaluating it, it did cost me $180. So we won't go there. But the point of it is, it's a very nice kit.
Sure.
So you'll demo it.
And just for grades, just so people who are building stuff, this is 1/16 inch aluminum that they're folding. So if you're asking, well, I'm making my car help, because I would have probably made it in 1/8 inch, and it would have been way overbuilt.
Right.
So fold it. So just to know, 1/16 inch aluminum is fine for forming stuff.
Well, I'm surprised that these servos can handle the torque.
Those are metal. They are Metal Gear servos. And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of shy away from leg robots.
Yeah.
Is because my thought is, yeah, you can pick it up. It's got a built-in, what is it called? 13,650, what is the?
18,650.
18,650.
Double batteries, yeah.
Double pack underneath.
Oh, okay.
Has a built-in charger on it, so you charge it, when you charge it right here, and then you turn it on. And I don't, like I say, unfortunately, all of the problems of trying to get Wi-Fi hooked up here and getting, you have to know its IP address, and it's kind of the case if you don't.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I'm not.
I like it, that's really
You'll
cute.
definitely on Tuesday.
But it's really, like I say, it's a great little kit. I was amazed.
So who makes it?
The Sun Founder, and they've made some really nice stuff. I've had some sensors from them that I've really been impressed. They used to have an 8-channel line sensor that was all I2C. It was really nice, but you can't buy it anymore. You know, they tend to do that. They kind of like make something, and I guess if it doesn't stick, they scrap it and move along.
There's a sensor on this side.
That is a 6 degree.
An IMU.
IMU.
Oh, okay.
All right, so.
So does it come in pots and you assemble it?
Yeah, yeah. And that's what
I love that.
Will it hike up a rear leg?
I mentioned on Tuesday, I said, oh, look at all of these little rivet dealers.
What's your question, Ray?
Oh, I asked if it would hike up a rear leg.
There's a question from the virtual world.
Oh.
Ray, would you like to repeat your question?
Oh, I just asked if it will hike up its rear leg.
I don't know, Ray, if you could do it, but I wouldn't be surprised at all that you could.
Yeah, it doesn't come with a liquid flow sensor.
Now, if you really want to go big time, Ray, you need to look up the videos. The kid who had a Boston Dynamics dog, and then he rigged it up to pee beer into a cup.
Oh, yeah.
That's nasty. That's nasty. But I will say this. If you want like dog, you know, because they're trying to sell to a different market than us. They're trying to sell to, you know, a person who's just going to build this and demo it. And they have very realistic dogs. You know, where you know, kids looks back and forth, all this stuff. I mean, when you look at it, it looks like a dog. It really looks like a dog.
Oh, yeah, cool.
What do these do?
That, okay, they flash.
Okay.
No, what they really are supposed to do is they have dog moods. You can make the dog angry or whatever. I don't know how, but it will show its thing.
I gotta go.
So anyway.
Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for speaking up to do how to do their game.
But good instructions, I guess. You know,
Tell me
like
the
I
name
said,
of the manufacturer.
Sun Founder.
Okay, thank you.
See you guys.
See you, Steve. Okay. And it's called a PIDO, P-I-D-O.
So I guess experiment one is you get the tail, like sort of like blinking out the tail now.
Probably has a link for a little red fire hydrant. You know, that's
Right now,
nice. No.
the face recognition isn't working, though I've had it working.
Red fire hydrant detection, that's what Ray wants.
Yeah.
I think it's got OpenCV on it, Ray. So
Yeah.
there's probably no problem at all to do blood detecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you probably could.
Yeah.
And the way what the purpose of the ultrasonic is, when it's going forward, it has a trip distance where it, you know, says I've got an obstacle. And I don't know if it tries to get around it or if it just goes bark.
Waits for you to move it.
Yeah, waits for you to move it. So I don't know yet, so I haven't gone there that far.
What's its gait like? Does it move 2 legs at a time while it balances on the other 2, or 1 at a
I
time?
think I want to say it's triangle to triangle, but I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I haven't really, since I've been usually keeping it on a table like this, I really haven't been really stretching the go.
Okay.
I was real interested in whether it would turn left or right. And it does, but it doesn't do any pivoting. It's kind of like a.
Yeah.
It's not real sharp turn. But with the IMU, you should be able to tell
How far you turn.
how far you turn.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, like I say,
Sure.
it's
Very fun.
I looked at it as, well, this is a real moving from wheeled robots to leg robots. Now, I have done a spider in the past, and that's cool. I like that. But this one's cool too.
Yeah. John Hyland showed his spider thing on Tuesday. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But I love this.
Yeah.
It's just so cute.
Yeah. And like I say, when you see it,
Can I take it home?
when you see it do its hand moves, it is.
Yeah, it's doing 1 at a time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
So we only got time.
No, so what's the name of the dog?
Hi, dog.
High dog.
Pi dog, okay. Like PI dog or PY?
PIDOG.
Okay,
Yeah.
Pi dog, gotcha.
We
Good name.
only got.
Oh, yeah, that's spooky.
Oh, cool. What fun.
All right.
Okay.
There it is.
Hey, one last thing, guys.
Okay.
All that stuff in those boxes is over there is gone out on the shelves tonight. So if there's anything in there that you want, feel free to grab it. Over here.
Are we done with the show and tell for the
Along those
night?
same lines,
Oh, yeah.
I've got a $150 piece of USB audio controller that you can give away.
What is this?
What this is, these are a bunch of cats from the Elgato folks that did all the cool switches.
Okay, I think we're winding down here, guys.
Ronnie and other people, we can do our own thing better than what over there. And they call themselves Beacon.
We're about to go to the club
When I
freebie
bought this,
shelf.
I bought the wrong
Okay.
mix, not a Beacon.
Doug and Harold have some things, and then we're going to wander around the space a little bit.
Sure.
Allows me to have 2 audio.
Thanks for setting up the remote stuff.
Yeah, you bet. Did the audio work out pretty well in general, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
I agree. It was well done.
Okay, good deal. Thanks. I'm glad we could make it work for you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, guys. I'll catch you on Tuesday.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
To be really loud.
Bye.
I can control just the web browser sound and the volume just on the web browser. If I want other things